Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to Mandem Football, where I be breaking down critics, games, panels, pundits, whatever you want on the sport of football, or as we Americans like to say, soccer. But this is the real football. And there's been a recent report saying that from a good old Jamie Carragher, former Liverpool player, decent defender, who knows, but has recently made a controversial take on Mikel Arteta and Arsenal Football Club. And I want to get into it because don't know where he's gotten this. I want to understand his thinking on this. And there's a quick breakdown of what he thinks, and let's check it out and see what he's talking about here.
In the Premier League, so there's no doubt he makes a huge difference. But don't forget, Man City without De Bruyne this season, probably for a lot of last season as well. So
let me go back a little bit.
They climbed 10% to 55%, which is sixth in the league. What do you make of that, Jamie? Is that sort of confirming what your eye is telling you?
Well, listen, the numbers tell me that. My eyes tell me that when I watch Arsenal. I struggle to see them, certainly in big away games, how they're going to score a goal besides a set piece. Listen, the elephant in the room is Odegaard's not there. He's probably in the top 4 or 5 players in the Premier League, so there's no doubt he makes a huge difference. But don't forget, Man City without De Bruyne this season, probably for a lot of last season as well. So they're heavily reliant on him. But when you say this by design, and I made a comment last week about sort of the football and where basically Mikel Arteta's football is morphing into. Now, I want to go back and look at the players Mikel Arteta's signed, because I didn't just come up with this idea on back of last week. I've been thinking this for a few months. Now, I go here. I know Mikel Arteta came in before that.
I know for a fact that he didn't just think about this for the last 4 months. There ain't no way anybody's thinking about Arsenal for 4 months like that. No chance.
There was players he signed from Chelsea, older players like David Luiz and Willian and that. But when he sort of signing sort of young players, and this was the season when maybe Arsenal probably should have made the top 4 when they were fighting with Tottenham. Ben White was brought in, ball playing centre-back, almost felt like he was going to be the John Stones of what Man City was. Odegaard coming from Real Madrid, again, an intricate player between the lines. So you can see the type of football and manager and team he wants. We then go to the following season, the first season where Arsenal challenged for the title. 2 players coming from Manchester City, Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, a fullback who likes to go into midfield, Fabio Vieira, a midfield player, only 5'7". So again, intricate football and players. You can see what he's trying to build and what team he wants. Very similar almost maybe to Manchester City. He then loses the league this season. They get bullied at Manchester City's ground, and towards the end of the season lose the title. And I think there's a feeling that we're not strong enough, we're not powerful enough, right? So you bring in Declan Rice, 6'2", box-to-box midfield player. Kai Havertz, an attacking player, whether that's midfield or part of your front 3, but he's not a silky player. He's a physical player. He holds the ball up, he's good in the air. Timber, brilliant defender, but he's a solid defender first and foremost, not like a Zinchenko going into midfield. So when I talk about where this team is morphing to.
And again, I will say that what he's saying is correct. Besides that last part, Jurrien Timber could go into the midfield. I will get into that in a second. But let's continue.
I don't just look at a statement out to try and create headlines. And it's not a criticism. It's an analysis that this team has gone from intricate players to strong, powerful players. And this summer, Calafiori, again, he's a centre-back playing left-back, and Marino comes in, 6'2" midfield player, who actually, when he joined the club, came out with a quote said, when I went into the dressing room, I felt like I was with a basketball team, not a football team, because the size of all the players. This is not a criticism, this is an analysis of where Mikel Arteta is trying to take this team and how he's trying to win the Premier League title.
What you said, I think, which caught a lot of attention, not least of Arsenal fans, a couple of weeks ago.
He is correct. Those players are obviously players that Mikel Arteta and Arsenal have signed in order for them to win the Premier League. I think anybody that's been in Mikel Arteta's position, any manager that has been fighting to win the Premier League for the last 2 seasons, will do anything they can in terms of players that need to come to their club in order to win the Premier League. So he is correct about that. I think he says a little bit more after this, so let's see what he has to say.
Ago, and you repeated it last Sunday, was that if you take Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola was a big disciple of Pep Guardiola, but actually he's moving more towards Jose Mourinho.
100%.
Which was quite a big call to say that, and I think some people would see that as criticism.
Well, listen, Pep Guardiola and Jose Mourinho are the two most dominant and successful managers of the last, 15, 20 years. But they're at both ends of the spectrum in terms of style of football. You look at the players brought in here, what's the style they're wanting to get to? You see that, and it is morphing towards Jose Mourinho. Now, again, it's not a criticism for Arsenal or Mikel Arteta, it's an analysis. Because this is a guy who's won the Premier League 3 times. Arsenal haven't won the Premier League for 20 years. So it's just where he's taken them. But if you think of Jose Mourinho as a manager, if he took over my club, what would I think I was getting? My first thing would be thinking, my team's going to be strong defensively. No doubt about that. Arsenal is strong defensively. Height and strength and power in my team. We've just highlighted that, about the size and the power of this Arsenal team. That's what you get from Mourinho. That's what you're getting from Arsenal right now. Set-piece reliance at times. You think how powerful Drogba and John Terry were at Chelsea. That's exactly the same with Arsenal. Rely on set pieces, especially this side. We've just highlighted that at times, not all the time, Arsenal under the goalkeeper going direct. How often do we see Petr Cech go direct to Didier Drogba, knock it down to Frank Lampard? The one thing that we should also say that Arsenal are not like Jose Mourinho is winning trophies. Now, if Jose Mourinho is watching tonight and he'll see that, he will say, but I win trophies.
He is correct about that. Arsenal do not win trophies as of right now. They are not winning trophies.
At the moment, Arsenal haven't won the trophy. They've been fantastic. The football they've played, superb, and how they're going about it. But anyone who thinks I just plucked this Jose Mourinho thing out to sort of create a negativity around Arsenal, it's analysing exactly where Arsenal are going. And if people don't agree with that, I don't think you're actually watching what's going on with Arsenal right now. I think Mikel Arteta feels he doesn't have the attacking quality that Manchester City have, so he's going another way to try and win the league, which is being strong defensively and a more powerful team.
Well, listening to you is obvious.
Okay, so I think Jamie Carragher makes a good point. He makes a good point because a lot of what we see with Arsenal right now is similar to what we've seen under Jose Mourinho. I think that is a fair observation. I think that is a fair analysis in a way, but he's missing a lot of key things that make Arsenal Arsenal. Just like what make Liverpool Liverpool, what makes Pep Guardiola and Pep Guardiola, right? The thing is that morphing into Jose Mourinho, right? He's mentioned already that Arsenal don't have Martin Odegaard. So why not see that for what it truly is, right? If you know that a player like Martin Odegaard at Arsenal is so integral, not only just the captain, but he's mentioned that he is top 4, top 5 Premier League player in the league. So with a player so influential like that, then Arsenal surely can't play the way they want to, because the way Arsenal have been playing over the past few months, over the past few seasons, is not compared to what Jose Mourinho has been playing, right? It's a matter of Arsenal are playing the way they're playing right now because of his absence and because of certain circumstances that have come from either stupid decisions by players on the pitch, getting red cards, or injuries that are a huge setback for any team in the Premier League, in La Liga, in Bundesliga, all over. Right? It's a massive, massive blow. So, number one is that Arteta has to adapt, has to morph, if he wants to say that, into a Jose Mourinho type of manager. Why? Because of the external factors that are there on the pitch, right? A player like Odegaard not playing and what he offers for Arsenal there's no way that anybody can really fill those shoes. And I think we've seen that with Leandro Trossard. Nwaneri is a very young player at Arsenal, so he can't just have so-and-so play the role of Odegaard. Just like I'm telling you right now, Rodri is so important to Manchester City, but it's not because of what people really think. He's important because of him and his moments. What he offers as a number 6, he's the best at that. But Rodri is also the player where if you need something to happen, if you need a goal, if they're 2-0 down, if they're 2-1 down, he's one of the players that's going to drag them out of the mud, right? He's one of those players that's going to get them a goal. He is a moment player. He just has that gene, right? Just like Kevin De Bruyne has that, Haaland has that, Gundogan has that, and Rodri has that. So they have all of those types of players. But with Rodri being out, he's not the most important player that's out for Manchester City. It's actually Bernardo Silva, right? And I make that saying with Bernardo Silva because him and Odegaard are the nucleus of their respective clubs. Right? They're the nucleus because they are the ones that control pretty much everything in terms of the phases of play on the pitch, from the build-up to the attack to the pressing to all of these things that people overlook, right? So Arteta has to adapt to what's going on and what's not in front of him and what is in front of him, right? You have to think about the teams that they're playing up against. You have to think about the players that he has in order for them to have to win the game, right? And if they don't win, then they don't win. I think Arsenal are more than capable of winning the games that they have and the games that they've played, the opponents that they've played, but it's different for Arsenal. And I think him saying that anyone that can't see that is wrong, well, it's not necessarily that people like me can't see it. We can see it. It's a matter of there's more to the story that you have not unfolded. And that's something that I do have an issue with. I think Berbatov has something to say, so let's check that out real quick.
That Mikel Arteta basically wants to have plan E, plan B, plan C, depending who is playing against, which is, I think, is a good thing because I always thought that playing against Arsenal is at times almost too easy. You can easily bully them out from the ball and scoring late in the game, or when they go to a tough opposition, big players, they struggle. And now seeing all this analysis, which basically, in a way, I agree with you, he get an insurance that, okay, I have plan A, plan B, plan C. Depending who I'm playing, maybe I play more technically, or sometimes when I need the direct approach, I have the guys, or set pieces, I have the big powerful guys to score goals.
Significantly more drop points for Arsenal, and they have a heck of a job on now if they are to go on and win the league. We've taken their 18 points from the first 10 games this season and had a look at what they might have to get to. 94 points is the average since Pep Guardiola came into the Premier League 8 seasons ago. So if they're going to get there, it didn't require that last season, but if they're going to get there, it's another 76 points at an average of 2.7 per game. It might have to look something like that. 24 wins, 4 draws to get up to that tally. 90 points is one more than they managed last season. A lot of people are talking about this 90-point barrier for Arsenal to get to. So that would be 72 at 2.6 per game. Again, it is requiring an extraordinary effort from this point on. 71 points is the average to get into the top 4, which might mean Champions League football for Arsenal next season. That has been the average over the last 8 seasons again. They're averaging 1.8 points per game right now, so they actually have to improve on that to be sure of a place in the top 4.
All right. Seems like that's the end of that. Again, it just goes to show you the difference between someone like Jamie Carragher, who is solid most of the time of what he says, but Berbatov proved me right. And I actually didn't even have to really click on it. You know, I didn't hear any of what he just said before this. So Berbatov said it right. You know, you have to adapt to the teams that you play up against, right? He just said that Berbatov Berbatov just said that Arteta is a coach that has to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E because of circumstances that happen, right? Who is that very similar to? It's similar to Pep Guardiola, someone that he looked up to, someone that's mentored him over the course of his coaching career at Manchester City. I think people forget that he has learned from the very best of the best. Mikel Arteta has learned from Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. He's learned from Pep Guardiola, right? We're talking about two of the elite legendary coaches of their respective careers, right, in coaching. So you have to adapt. And Arteta being able to adapt closely to what we see of Jose Mourinho, and also capable of having Arsenal play similarly to how Pep Guardiola and past Manchester City and Bayern Munich have played, right? And I think he's missing one more, being able to press and being able to be ruthless in attack and ruthless in the pressing and defending, in defensive areas when losing the ball, like Jurgen Klopp and Ralph Rangnick and the gang and press, the German word that they use for pressing. So I think that this is one of the very few things that go over people's heads. And I don't think it's a criticism. I just don't think he really hit the nail that most people really need to hear, because people are going to hear it and going to take it as criticism because of Mikel Arteta's background and, the coach that he has been discipled from, which is Pep Guardiola. And Pep and Jose have a pretty much opposite spectrum of how they want their teams to play. But again, I think he got half of the truth and not the full truth. So it is what it is. That's my take on that. I just really wanted to see what it looked like and really give my observation on it. So, like I always say, comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next few videos. Thank you. God bless.